This exercise will be focused on creating two different processes, one MSG server, one MSG client, which are going to be capable to exchange bits of information through a message queue. So the description of the problem here is going to have you reuse bits and pieces of things that have been already exposed in one of the video. So there's not much complication here really. Just make sure that you read, test thoroughly, that you understand how to test your program. This is going to be really similar to what we did with the previous exercise. Okay, you need two different consoles, one for the server, one for the client. Okay, you are going to type text in one of them, like the client, and you are going to make sure the server receives this text and is capable to display it. So instead of developing the solution bit by bit here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the complete solution, and I'm going to comment every line of it, because really it doesn't introduce much more than what is already in the lecture video. It's just a matter of taping it all together and a couple of little remarks that are really minor. So if you didn't try to do this program yet, pause this video, take the time to give it a clear shot, and then I'm going to start by describing the server. Okay, so let's move on to the code. Here's the solution. The includes come from the video. Okay, I define a buffer size. I used even the same constant name than in the lecture video. I define my structure MSG, message, same thing than in the video really. And you will notice that my main is using the same trick once again that we used in the video for those little programs that we're creating, destroying, and sending, receiving message through a System 5 IPC message queue. So really there is nothing new there. I already commented that code in the video. What I would like to draw your attention on are how you combine all those steps together. So here is the server creating the message queue with a key number that was given to us on the command line, call to MSG get. IPC create flag means, hey, we are creating one from scratch, return an error if one exists already, and here is a permission that are set. When we are done, we display a little message that say, I am done, this is a QID that I received, and then the server displays just a prompt and invites the user to pretty much type something. So here's an instance of my struct MSG. The message type is 1. Well, why 1? Answer, why not? Okay, we're not using the type really field of the structure, so I set it to an arbitrary value. We are going to read from stdin, the standard input. This is maybe the bit that you were missing. We read a complete line from stdin. If fgetS returns null, we break out of the loop. This is an infinite loop, so if we don't get a control D from the user, we keep looping again and again and again and again. We measure the length of the text that we just read. Okay, we used our field MSG text as a buffer, and we are going to make sure that this text finishes by \0 as a way to override the \n character, the enter character, so that we don't carry around strings that have a new line in them. So what we do is, well, if the length of the string is greater or equal to 1, which means we have at least one character there, well, we are going to use index len-1 to overwrite that \n that fgetS leaves trailing at the end of the string it reads. Otherwise, we just use the index len. The server displays that it's sending the message, and we display here what message we send. So that's why we remove the \n at the end, because we don't want to have here a display that is going to open a double quote, write, for example, hello there, and then enter and close the double quote, because the string that we display contains a \n. We send using MSG SND as used in the slide. Okay, specifies the length of our text field. We say that the sending is done, and we sleep for once again, and we go back to this loop. Once we are done, destroy the message queue, exit. Nothing really much different here than the lecture slide, except maybe for that fgetS and stuff like that, depending on how familiar you are with reading complete line of text from the keyboard in this language. The client will have similarly the same structure. Pan includes, defines the buffer size, define our struct MSG, And then we have here the code that is in the slide already. Opening the message queue, we open it just assuming it's existing. So you see we don't use IPC create, you are familiar with that by now. We don't use permission rights, etc. And then our main loop will be also an infinite loop, and we're going to keep doing what? Well, fix the message type at 1. This I could have removed. I'm not sure exactly why I left it here. I guess I didn't feel comfortable with having a field that didn't have a value at all, but it's going to be overwritten anyway. So let's get rid of that for now. We have a length variable. We do exactly like in the slide. Message receive is going to return us the length of the message that we received. We specify the QID, the address of the data structure we're going to feed up, etc. We are setting the last character of our text to \0, and then we display we receive the message and the string. And we sleep for once again to pass out things. Right here in the client, I do a message control IPC RMID. I don't even really need it here, simply because the server is going to actually get rid of it for us. Okay, what will happen is that as soon as the server gets rid of the message queue, message received will return with an error telling us that pretty much, hey, the message queue disappeared. Okay, the grass was cut under my feet. So even though this process is blocked waiting to receive a message, the message queue was just destroyed. I return and I inform you that there is no more message queue for me to read message from. So this is how we are going to exit from this client. Let's save. We're going to compile them and give them a shot. So GCC, we're dealing with MSG server .c, and we are going to compile that into MSG server. Okay, and we are going to compile MSG client.c into MSG client. Now let's give it a spin. I'm going to minimize this, and we are going to go to our two terminals which we used already for the producer consumer, and I'm going to run here MSG server. And I have to specify a QID. That works a little better. I'm going to go and I run the server in the consumer tab, so I'm going to fix that. That's not really clean. MSG server 123. There we go. And now I go to the consumer tab and I do MSG client 123. Okay, the client is obviously waiting for messages. Let's go back to the producer. Hey there, enter, sending the message hey there, done, receives the message hey there, and then I can keep on going like that, typing just random stuff. And the consumer receives it, and then I'm going to end this by Control D. And you see here what I was telling you about. Unable to receive message identifier removed. This is exactly what happened when my server destroys the message queue. I was blocked in the code. I'm going to show you where in once again. Not that window. Okay, there we go. In the server, once I destroy, it's located here. Once I destroy with IPC RMID my message queue, well, the client was waiting to receive here, and MSG receive returns with an error, which caused p-error to display my message, followed by a system message telling me what was the nature of the error. Well, it turns out that the message queue ID, the identifier, was removed. That means the message queue was destroyed by the server.